So, just waiting for it.
Yeah,
Okay.
you
Here.
like it.
So we're learning the Mayim Rabin Tafshin Lamed Ches. We are holding a Dalid on the top of page Reish Ein Hey in Sefer Mamor Melukot Aleph. Last week we learned in the Maimer. I'm going to make a kitzav and get what's negeya to the Hemshech and Yonim of the Maimer. That you have Mayim Rabim, and the way they ever explain in the Mayim Rabim is shot that you have a yid who's so caught up in this world that he loses his balance and he loses his equilibrium, and he's not in the right state of mind, and he's completely preoccupied with how he's going to earn a living, and he puts all of his keches into it, and nevertheless, right, which is not supposed to be that way. A person's keches is supposed to be into serving the Eibishter, and earning a parnassi you're supposed to do with your hands and have faith in the Eibishter, and don't worry about it, and don't put all of your energies into it. So nevertheless, even though the person is on this level, still he's loyuchlu lechabes his ha'ava, his connection to the Eibishter and his service of the Eibishter cannot be touched, and he could live his life over here the way Yid is supposed to live his life. And the Rebbe explained in the Eis Gimel that the reason for this is because you have to understand where the sheish of the neshama of a Yid comes from. Taka Yid in Elam Haza, he's taka his first sheish, his immediate sheish. The sheish for his geluyim, maybe you could touch, I'm not sure, is from where? It's from tikkun. Where does he get his regular powers, his seichel, his midas, his regular day-to-day powers? Where does he get from them? From that taka comes from tikkun. Mashen Kain, the Mayim Rabim, that comes from Toyu. Elam Haza, all of Inyan Elam Haza come from Toyu. Like the Alter Rebbe explains in his Mayim Rabim, that all of the Inyanim of Elam Haza, of the Gashmis, Achilul, Shtia, and the Inyanim of this physical world come from Toyu. So Toyu is much higher. Why can't they defeat the Yid? Because this that we said that the Yid's Shadish is in Tikkun. It's only in his immediate Shadish. I don't know exactly how to explain it, but it's only in his Shadish that's immediately connected to the way he finds himself here. But that's not really where he comes from. It's just a stop along the road of the neshama coming down into the body. But really the first place where the neshama comes from, the first place is taka from Atzmus. Taka comes from the Eibishter himself. That's where the neshama is rooted. And that's, of course, much higher than Toyu. And therefore the neshama, all of the maisim of it, all of the happenings of this world can't defeat the Yid and his love to the Eibishter. Okay? So it's important for Hemshech and Yanim to understand like this. We're saying that the Yid taka in this world, the way he is in this world, he's taka Mayim Rabimnik. He's taka on a lower madrega, even in his shadish, he comes from Tikkun. So he's not so strong over here, and he's not in the right state of mind, he's not in the right place, he loses sight of things. Narvas, he still has the power, because in his shadish, somewhere up there, way up, he's connected to Atzmos. He comes from Atzmos. Yeah, like he says over here, up to the highest level is the Ruach Tashav El Elikim Hashem Nesana. That B'chinas Elikim Hashem Nesana is Tzur, which is higher than Havaya, and that's where the Sheish of the Neshama is. Okay? To say one more time, and get to Hemshech and Yanim, the point is that we say that where does the strength of the Yid come from? In other words, what's the big deal of the Yid? That in his Sheish, he comes from a very high place. Taka over here, he doesn't look so high. He's in trouble. But in his sheish, he comes from a very high place. Okay, that's the first part of the Maimer. And now we'll continue in Eis Daled. And not only do we say that all of the matters of Inyan Elam Haza, even though they cause some sort of deficiency in his Aveda, and he has the issues of Mayim Rabim, nevertheless, they can't extinguish his love and his connection to the Eibishter. Even more than that, through the Mayim Rabim, through all of the problems and challenges of living in this world. And he means to say, Pashat, the problems and challenges as they are. We're not talking over here challenges of tzaddikim, we're talking about challenges of regular people in this world. They dafka bring about a greater level or a higher form of Ava to the Eibishter. And he doesn't, in this Eis, in the whole Eis style, he doesn't get into any details, he just mentions ideas that are discussed in other Mamarim. What's the aliyah that through this, that the neshama comes down, it doesn't stay in its ruchnistic place in the heavenly world, it comes down into this physical world. And it gets involved with, in Yon Elam Haza, with Mayim Rabim. She reaches a higher madrega, a higher level than she was before she came down into this world. And Tamtis Inyan, what the Alter Rebbe explains in his Mitzayin 31 to the Alter Rebbe and to the Mittler Rebbe, what he explains over there is that the neshama, it's nana miziv hashchina. Whereas when the neshama is not in Elam Haza, when it's in the Elam Mitzilyanim, it's nana only miziv hashchina. And that goes back to the same idea of tikkun. It's nana from a certain madrega of gilei likus. Down here in Elam Haza, you have higher than that. The person eats. What does he eat? He eats physical food. How does the person who's the highest form of existence in this world, how does he maintain his life from eating from a behemoth or from eating from a daimon, from eating from water? How's that possible? If you have to get your energy from something that's greater than you. You don't get energy from something that's smaller than you. If it's smaller than you, how could it give you power? You need something. So it's explained in Chassidus in many places that really the sheirish of the behemoths and of the mayim, of the daimim, that really comes from a much higher place than the neshama. And therefore, when the neshama comes down into this world, and it works with all of these gashmistic things who have hidden in them very big sparks of kedusha that came from even higher than the neshama, so there's an aliyah. That's Tamtis in Dartan on Likutei Torah. He says, we hear he adds a very geschmack of art in the brackets, but we're not going to take too much time on it. And that's why all of the challenges in this world exist. It's such a geschmack point. We're saying, you want to know why today you're in a bad mood, or today you don't feel inspired, or today if you feel like you didn't perform, and you have this taiga, whether it's health, parnasa, shalom bayis, all the issues that people can be challenged. You want to know why you have that right now, or glata, you're feeling a very grubba taiga in your heart today. You want to know why? Because it's there in order to bring you higher. The only reason why that situation exists is not shot that, oh, it's impossible for me to do things, but somehow I have to find some superhuman strength. No, you should know the reason why it's here is it's there. It's a stage for you. It's a platform. It's a forklift. It's something that's going to pick a scissor lift. It's something that's going to pick you up to the greatest heights. That's why it exists. And because that's the entire reason of existence for all of the challenges that we face in this world, that's why they can never defeat Abba. Because the deepest purpose, the truest reason for the existence of all of these problems is not to defeat the person, but rather it's to bring him to a higher madrega. And that's why they never defeat him. Like it says in Ara 33, that earlier in the Maimer we explained it's a technicality. You know why the Mayim Rabim can't taka, they're higher than Tikkun, which is the shayers of the Neshama, but the Yid actually has, but he has also a deeper aspect. He's Musha Shepes Dartan in Atzmus. That's why they can't. So it's a technicality. Over here he says it's Pashim Tzad the Etzim Inin of the Mayim Rabim. The Mayim Rabim themselves aren't even Mayim Rabim. The Mayim Rabim themselves is nothing more than a plane, a rocket, to lift you up, to boost you from where you are now and to bring you up. And that's why they never defeat you in the end of the day. They may cause you problems, but through the challenges, you reach places that you were never able to, and you're never defeated. The Yid is never defeated. Very geschmacka point. That's not the point of this moment, it's in the brackets. So we mentioned before, in very short, what the Alter Rebbe says, how through coming down to this world, the Yid uncovers these sparks of Kedusha that come from higher than him, and that's why he eats from the behemoths and from the daimim, and that's an advantage that the neshama gets in this world. Now the Rebbe goes to speak about it in terms of Aveda. Uba Aveda, and the person, the Yid's service to the Eibishter, what's the aliyah that the neshama gets through coming down into this world is that now the neshama has in it the inyan of tshuva. And like we're going to explain inside in the Maimer, when the neshama is lemaila, you can't say inyan of tshuva. What's tshuva kapshuta? We're going to start with. Tshuva kapshuta is when a yid does something that he's not supposed to, or when a yid is in a madrega, in a state that he's not supposed to be in, he's not a pisvi yid darf to sein, so he does tshuva. When the neshama is lamaila, the neshama is never doing things it's not supposed to. When the neshama is lamaila, it's always in the state that it's supposed to be. It's always standing in a constant outpouring and fire of love to the Eibishter. It's never in trouble. So it can't have the maila of tshuva. It's impossible for it to have the maila of tshuva. When the neshama comes down into this world, so now it can have the inyan of tshuva, which is a much greater aveda and a much greater madrega than the madrega of tzaddikim. And again, he doesn't explain in this mind why tshuva is much greater. It's explained at length in other places. But that's the nekudah for now. Ukiyadua. Shanasham is Kedimidi Dasan Lagufim Tzadikim Gemurim, as it's known that the Neshamas, before they come down into this world, they're absolute and complete Tzadikim. So why did they have to come down here in this world? What were they missing? They were complete Tzadikim. Stay out, you're finished, you're good to go. What are you missing? No, they're missing something. They come down into this world. That they come, the Neshamas now also obtain the Maila of Tshuva. They acquire the inyan of Tshuva. I said, and what's so great about Tshuva? So again, without explaining, but he just makes the point. Tshuva is so much greater than the about Tshuva is so much greater than the Madrega of a tzaddik that tzaddikim can't even stand amongst the Bali Tshuva. And it's not that they don't stand amongst them; they can't. It's beyond their capacity bichlal. And that's why the neshama had to come down into this world. Even though you could do tshuva, even though you didn't do avedis, but rather returning the neshama to its source. In other words, reattaching, reconnecting the neshama to the Eibishter. So you don't have to have tshuva kipshuta, like I said in the introduction, but you could even have tshuva not for avedis mamish. You could have tshuva in the sense that the neshama reconnects to the Eibishter, but still, that must be done in this physical world. This idea of tshuva can only be when the neshama finds itself not in its true place. In other words, in its source. Only when it left its place, now I could do the aveda of coming back, reconnecting, and returning to my place. And now I could reach the madrega of Baruch Tashuv, the idea of tshuva. So that's what the Mayim Rabim do for the Yid. The Yid comes down into this world into Mayim Rabim. Before that, he was only in the Madrega of Tzadikim. But the Madrega of Tzadikim, for whatever reason that's not explained over here, is not the highest Madrega that a Neshama could be in. The Neshama could be in a higher Madrega of Baal Tshuva, and that can only be done. The idea, the Aveda of Tshuva can only be performed when you're in Mayim Rabim down here in this world. So that's now the new point that we're telling you, that not only will the Mayim Rabim not defeat you, but the Mayim Rabim will bring you to the higher Madrega. They'll bring you to the Madrega of Tshuva. And since, like the Rebbe mentioned just before, that the Maila of Baal Tshuva is higher even than the Madrega of Tzadikim. Until the difference, the distance between them is a distance that's incomparable. It can't even be approached. So like we just learned before in the Mayim, that they can't even stand there. Through the inyan of tshuva, through now the neshama also acquired the work and the madrega of tshuva, which it did not have before. So now it reaches a higher madrega than it was even when it was in its source, when it found itself in the madrega of Elikim Asher Nesana. Okay, so what's Hemshech and Yonim of the Mayim? What is Rebbe pointing out over here? Until Eis Daled, what were we saying? That the Mayim Rabim can't extinguish the love and the connection of a Yid to the Eibishter. Why? Because I have a very powerful source. I'm rooted in a rock, in the tzur that he mentioned. I'm rooted in the Eibishter, and therefore nothing can move me. The rivers can storm, can rage, can race, and they can't do nothing because I'm rooted deeply in the rock in the Eibishter. Over here he says, no. Not only that, you're actually going to reach a higher madrega than you were in your sheidish. You're going to reach a higher madrega. That's the chiddush of Eis. It's not a chiddush to this Maimer, but that's the new point over here in the Hemshech and Yonim, that you're going to reach a higher madrega than you were even when the neshama was in its source. Until now, what were we speaking? When the neshama is in its source, over there it's mamish gevaldik, unbelievable. He says, no, there's something even higher. You can reach higher than the source. Okay? Through Avedis, which could only happen through coming down into this world. I want to point out again, for Hemshech and Yonim, so that Deva's point weiter is that what? That what are we saying? Where's the whole game over here? Where's the whole Maila? Where's the whole Ilui? In the Shadish. Why doesn't the Neshama come down over here so that it should reach in its Shadish, it should reach a higher Madrega than it was even in its Shadish. So it's all a story of that you want to know what's the big accomplishment and you want to know what this world is all about. It's so that it causes the Neshama in its source to have an Aliyah. Either it reveals it, which was the Nakuda in the first half, that through the challenges of the Mayim Rabim, you reveal the shadus of the neshama in the Eibishter, or that it actually lifts it up even higher than its shayrish. And now in Hay, finally, Deb is going to get to the idea of this Mayim. And he says like this: we just said that the neshama goes higher than it was in its source. So he has a question on that. How could you go higher than Atzmos? But Deb's going to spend some time just to explain the idea of L'mayla Mikol HaGiluyim, and he's also going to introduce the next part by doing that. So let's see. Like it's also understood from the Maimer Azal, I think it's in Medish, Rus Rabbah, it's in Medish, that before the Eibishter created the world, he took the counsel of the neshamas of the tzaddikim, of the neshamas of the righteous. And Rebbe points out that what was the question over here? Should I create the world? Right? So in other words, should there be giluyim? So Rebbe says, when the Eibishter took counsel, it was before there were any giluyim. There was zero giluyim, because by the Eibishter there don't have to be giluyim. In other words, like this. It's explained that this is explained by Riches in other places, but we'll just use the simple mashal of the Eir HaShemesh. The Shemesh has giluyim, it has the light that it emanates and that it shines down onto this world. Okay? Why does the light shine? Why does the Shemesh give off this light? Because it's a bright object. Since it's a bright object, so it gives off light.
Automatic.
So, and it has no choice. If it's bright, it has to give off light. So it's not shaykh to say you want to know that like that the Shemesh made a conscious decision to give off light, but there was really a place in the Shemesh that was higher than that where it was, hey, should I do it? It's not shaykh. It's bad. By the Eibishter, just because the Eibishter is the Eibishter and everything comes from him, it doesn't have to come from him though. He doesn't have to if he doesn't want to. Even though it's at his light, so to speak. The whole world is created, and all the malachim come from him, everything comes from him, but it's only if he wants to. Not only the world and the malachim, even the highest giluyim, even things that are millions of worlds apart and higher than the ideas and concepts that we are even remotely aware of, the Eibishter, they don't have to be there. The only thing that's there is Eibishter. So when we say that the Eibishter took counsel from the neshamas, should I do this whole thing? We're talking about the whole thing from the very beginning, because all of it existed only because of the Eibishter's decision to create the world. If the Eibishter is taking counsel from the neshamas, should I start all of these giluyim? Obviously, the neshamas are there already, and they're higher than all of these giluyim. Yeah, we're discussing a situation where there are no giluyim because the Eibishter never gave the giluyim yet, and he's already talking to the neshamas. He's already taking counsel from the neshamas of the righteous. Should I make this giluyim or should I not? So obviously, the neshamas come from Atzmos itself, so they're already in Atzmos. How they move into the neshamas of benim lechem l'maylo mikol hagiluyim. This says they're in Atzmos already. Mikol makom shayach leimar. Still, you could say shalidei hatshuva. In other words, be dasan lamata through reaching the madrega of tshuva, either tshuva kepsuta or tshuva barach tashuv elikim. But it all happens by coming down into this world, by some sort of aveda, by some sort of thing that the neshama does down here in this world. Nasas ben aliyah gam legabe adarga shayu b'sharshan. There's an aliyah in them, even like the Matega that they were in their source. But we have to understand, of course, what? How? It's not higher than Atzmos, you can't say. So what do you mean that goes higher? It was already in the highest place. So what does it mean? What Dev is going to do now over here is going to explain to us that, what do you mean it's in Atzmos? What exactly is in Atzmos, so to speak? When you say that the neshamas are in Atzmos, what do you mean? What type of kilum? Which part of the neshama, let's say? Which part of the yid? Which part of the story of the yid is an atzmos? That's what Deva is going to explain over here. And when we understand which part of the yid, which part of the story of the existence of the yid is an atzmos, we'll understand how through Aved in this world you get actually higher. Okay, so let's see. The Yuvan Zeh. It says in Medrash that you saw that the Yidden came up, they were imagined in the Eibishter's thoughts. What's the Medrash episode? What does it mean? So he explains like this. Mr. Shemagid gives a mashal of a person who has a child, and he sees the child, and he says, even when the child already is not standing in front of his father, and he already passed, he's living somewhere else far away, nevertheless, the form, and I would say that the existence of the child is still engraved and seared in the mind of the father. In other words, like this: you have a car, even if you have a house or whatever it is, when you have it, you have it. When it's here, but mamish, it's here. When it's not here, it's gone. Even if you're going to tell me, say you have memories of it, whatever, but it's not here. A child is so close to the essence of the father that even when physically he's not here, he's still completely connected to the father, is still completely there in the father's mind. And then the Maggid adds this part: by a human being, when could you say this word, this muscle that helps us understand this Yisrael Olav Machshava? So this muscle only works after the father already had a child. But by the Eibishter, you could say even before the Yidden were created, their tzura, their form was engraved in the Eibishter's machshava. Of Yisrael, all of the machshava. Like Chazal say, Yisrael, all of the machshava. By the Eibishter, the past and the present is all one. So even though you don't have yet the Gashmistic Yidden in this world, but by the Eibishter, there could already be the idea of Olu b'machshava, the idea that we're engraved in the Eibishter's mind, kivyachol. Okay, so I'll pee the pirush I'll pee the word of the Maggid. What's the Medrash telling us? Yisrael Olu b'machshava, that the Yidden are very, very high, that they're in a very high place because they're Olu b'machshava. Other things are there only in a much lower form. Kilu, just like with a person, his mind, his thoughts are higher than his actions. So other things are kivyachol by the Eibishter b'chinas actions, b'chinas ma'aseh. The Yidden already exist by the Eibishter in a much higher, in a much deeper sense, in the sense of machshava. That's the beer of the Mizitch Maggid and Yisrael Olav Machshava. The Rebbe makes an observation on the part of the Maggid. We'll move on mizeh. From this, it's understood. What is it when we say that the neshama is mushish and atzmos? And like we said earlier in this ice, behem nimlach, that the Eibishter took counsel in them. In other words, they exist already before any giluyim. Hu inyan haneshama is k'meshen b'vchinas nivra. This is not the neshama as the neshama exists in its shayrish, but rather as the neshama exists already as a nivra. And Rebbe adds in the parentheses even more than that, not only as the neshama exists as a nivra, but still epis in Gan Eden ha'elyon, but no, the way the neshama exists when it comes down into this world down here. Nervous, that even the way the neshama is down here in this physical world, which didn't happen kivyachol before the beginning of creation, so Yischakuka is engraved by the Eibishter, the Avar and the Asid is Echad. So the first thing is, the Rebbe sets over here tremendous. He said, he says like this: what was important to the Eibishter? What was important, what was Kilu in Atzmos, when the Eibishter has the Neshamas within him in Atzmos, not that it's the Neshama as it exists as some holy spiritual entity, but the Neshama as it exists down here in this world. That's what was Olav Machshava. And you can understand it from the part of the Maggid, because the Maggid gets into this whole Avar v'Asid thing, that even though the Yidden weren't created, still the Eibishter already had it there. If we were talking about the neshama, the way it exists not here in this world, you don't have that problem. The Mizitch Maggid doesn't have to explain that part. The neshamas, before they came down into this world, already existed. The minimlach, they already existed over there, up there. No, the Mizitch Maggid has this problem, and he has to add this whole thing of Avar and Asid Ke'echad. Why? Because the taich, the pshat of B'min Nimlach is not the neshama as it is, some holy spiritual entity, but the neshama as it is down here in this world. And that's what was in the Sheidish in Atzmos. What is the Sheidish of the neshama in Atzmos? The Sheidish of the neshama in Atzmos is the way the Sheidish is down here in this world. What were we saying until now? You have the neshama the way it's down here in this world. The neshama the way it's down here in this world is talk on a lower level. And it's to such a degree on the lower level that could get caught up in the Mayim Rabim, could get caught up, the Toyu could overpower it, could overcome it. Nervous, we're saying, no, that I'm rooted in this rock, and I'm founded in it. And, yeah, but down here, what am I? I'm lower. Up there is where I'm up as something special. This is the complete opposite. It says over here that the Maggid is saying is what did the Eibishter have? What does the Eibishter have in Atzmos? You want to know what's in Atzmos? The neshama down here. That's what's in Atzmos. David adds more beer now. וכידוע בפירוש במין נמלח, שזהו מה שעולה לפניו יסברך התיינוג, שיסענג כביכול בעבודת הנשמה למטה. It's explained in Chassidus that what does it mean b'min nimlach? That the Eibishter took the counsel of the neshamas. He asked them, "What's your opinion?" Yeah, that doesn't sound right. What's the pshat? In other words, the Eibishter looked at the neshamas and said, I see these neshamas, and because of them, I want to create the world. What did he see in the neshamas? It's explained in Chassidus. He saw in the neshamas the way they're doing their aveda, sitting in a shul, learning, being at business, and remembering that the Eibishter gives them parnasa. The Eibishter saw the neshamas doing these things down here in this physical world. He didn't see the neshamas the way they were as very holy things. And he asked them, Nus, what's your opinion? You're doch a big neshama episode. Right next to me in Atzmos, what should I make the world? It's noch hecher von die Malachim, and hecher von the Hechalos, and hecher von Kesser, and von Ak, and hecher von epis the Eish Lifnei HaTzimtzum. So tell me, should I do all of this? Is it worth it? No, this is shot. Of course not. The Eibishter doesn't need opinions from anybody. Nimlach means that the Eibishter looked at the neshamas, and he saw the neshama down here in this world serving him. And he said, this I like, and this I want. I'm going to create a world so I can have this. So what's the Eibishter seeing over there? What's the kavanah in Atzmos? What's in the Shadish? What's going on? The Aveda of the Yid down here in this physical world doing the mitzvahs Gashmis with Dvarim Gashmim and living through Pashat what Eilam Hazeh looks like. So we have over here already the first component of the Vart of the Rebbe over here in this man, which, like I said, to my knowledge, you won't. Is not only that it's a chiddush of the Rebbe, but even in the Rebbe's since you don't see it discussed much. And I think this is where the Rebbe lays down this fact that was is pshat, that what's over there in the sheish of the neshamas, in the sheish of the neshamas is pshat, the aveda of the yid down here in this world. Not that down here in this world the neshamas in the lower place. You go up higher and higher, holier and holier, and then you get to the shadish over there. You have a neshama where the neshama in this world could draw strength from. The complete opposite. Your taka over here, big gilui, it feels to you like my neshama is in a low place. It feels like my neshama doesn't have the power and strength that a ben melech, that a chilik elikami mal mamash is supposed to have. I don't experience it in my life. I'm coming over here and I feel like I'm very far from Atzmos. And I do my aveda, and the and then the provided the pesmanetov again a tzaddik elyon shemimeitza Mashiach. So I say you go, you pass, you surpass Hasiya Ruchnis and Yitzir and Brie. You fly past the Malachim, the Heichalis, and you go past Atzilis over there in Seviv Kolam, and you fly higher and higher and higher, and then you get up to the Ein Sof Shalifnei HaTzimtzum, and then higher than the Ein Sof, and then higher than anything. Now there's no Giluyim anymore. The neshama reached higher. What does it see? It sees itself down here in this world, putting a penny in tzedakah, sitting at work and saying, I just felt stressed over here. How am I going to close this deal? How am I going to convince the guy to buy from me or to sell to me or whatever it is? How am I going to do it? And I remembered, the Eibishter does his thing, leave it, and I'm in a good mood again in a second. That's what the neshama discovers when it gets all the way up into the shadish in Atzmos. That's what's in the shadish. That's what's in Atzmos. The aved of the neshama here. And now we can properly understand the aliyah that the neshama has when it comes down into this world. Even though it's already mushrash in Atzmos before it came down. Why? And pay attention. Why do they exist in Atzmos? What's the big yichus of the neshama that because of that it's in Atzmos, and nothing else is in Atzmos? Only the neshama. It's because the Eibishter knows that the neshama is going to end up nimlach. He looked at the neshama. He saw what the neshama is going to do down here in this world. That's why he put it in Atzmos. That's why it's so close to him, because of what the neshama is going to do down here in this world. So Eibazeh, before the neshama came down, why was it in Atzmos? Because the Eibishter knew that it's going to do something versus negeya in Atzmos. It's going to do something that Atzmos the Eibishter wants. But that's only bekeach. It didn't do it yet. So it's an atzmos because of what it's going to be. But when does it become truly an atzmos? This is the aliyah that it has in its shadish. It's mushrish and atzmos, but only because of what it's going to do. By doing the Aveda down here in this world, now it's Mushish and Atzmos because it's Taka Mushish and Atzmos. Because of what the Eibishter wants it to be. The Eibishter wants it to be on the Neshama that's doing the work down here in this physical world. Even though the Eibishter knows, when he's Nimlach in those Neshamas, he looks at the Neshamas, he knows with absolute certainty, there's no doubt by the Eibishter, he knows what's going to be, that they're going to fulfill the Kavanah. So what's missing in Atzmos, since the Eibishter knows with certainty that they're going to fulfill the Kavanah, so they properly belong in Atzmos. They're in their Sheish, they're in the highest form already. So the Eibishter says, no, still in all, the Eibishter doesn't want the knowledge. The Eibishter wants the actual action of the Yid down here in this world. And therefore, when the Eibishter looks at a Neshama in Atzmos, and he knows for sure that it's going to do it, that still doesn't earn it its ultimate place. It's aliyah and its sheish, it doesn't earn it. Because the Eibishter doesn't want the knowledge, the Eibishter wants the peil mamish, that the neshama should actually do the Aveda down here in this world. In the Sikh, there was some sign to the Sikh over there, the Eibishter says, Ein kaya chaser peil. It's an interesting chakira. Ein kaya chaser peil. So just because the Yid didn't do his Aveda, the already has it, and the Eibishter explains in the Sikh that still the peil is what the Eibishter wants. It's not for now. Let's look back again over here at the Pirush over here of Mayim Rabim. We're gonna do in a moment. But let's look back over here at the Pirush. One of them when we say that the neshama has an aliyah in its shadish, higher than it was in its shadish. Right? L'chura, we asked in its shadish, it's already mushash and atzmos. So what does it mean that it reaches even higher? So we say like this: it was taka always in atzmos, so taka was always mushash and atzmos. But why was it mushash and atzmos? Because of what it will eventually do. It was mushash and atzmos because the Eibishter looked at the neshama and saw that the neshama is going to serve him. In other words, it was only there because of what it's going to do. So it's there in a lower form. It doesn't properly fully belong there yet. When it actually does what it's going to do, when it does this service to the Eibishter as a neshama down here in this world, now it's in its shadish. Now it's taka what the Eibishter wants it to be and why he puts it, why he keeps it and roots it in atzmos. And we'll do the brackets quickly. That the Medrash says that the Eibishter took counsel from the neshamas of the tzaddikim. And he calls them tzaddikim, not Bali Tshuva. Why? Because before they came down into this world, they didn't do it yet. But they didn't do it yet. Hence, tzaddikim, not Bali Tshuva. It's only that now you could give them the higher title. Only then nasim b'vchinas bali tshuva. So what do we have over? Well, the Rebbe is turning the entire universe on its head. And this is, of course, because the Rebbe is being Megala Mashiach in this world. Was ist Pshat Mashiach? Dir betachtenim atzmos amus doin der Welt. So this Maimer is just a part of a long series of Amman where the Rebbe keeps doing it in every dimension, in every aspect, in every area of life, showing how the truest atzmos of the Eibishter is taka here. In other words, what we thought is the lowest is actually the highest. And what we thought is high is nothing more than a preparation to bring us to revealing that what's here is truly this. Is like the person who went out on a long journey. Yeah, he was up in a house. I don't know. It's not a muscle that works. But the point is, I'll just use what I said about the neshama, that the neshama is down here and it feels like it's in a very low state and it does its Aveda and reaches higher and higher and higher, past the Malachim, past the Elam, past everything, and it gets into Asmos. And what does it see? It sees over there a little neshama putting a coin in a pushka, sitting at the desk and having faith in the Eibishter, helping another Yid begashmius and beruchnius, being nice, giving somebody a smile, doing all of these mitzvahs. That's what the neshama finds. This is what's mushash and atzmos. Now we're going to come to one more ace, which I'll admit with pride, nothing to be embarrassed about, that finally when I learned this ace in this Maimer, I finally realized something. Many Mamorim you have and many Sikhs you have where the Rebbe finishes with a simcha and a tuv leva. And the way I always felt was it's a bracha that the Rebbe is giving us as a And the Rebbe is also telling us it's better that it should be b'simcha v'tuv levav in this game, because a bracha should be b'simcha v'tuv levav. I finally realized that the simcha v'tuv levav is essential to the whole maimer. If you're b'simcha v'tuv levav, then you got the maimer. If you're not b'simcha v'tuv levav, maybe you're working on it, but the whole thing, you're not there at all. The simcha v'tuv levav is a crucial part, and is the even habeichin, is the, what do you call an even habeichin? Is the touchstone that tells you whether or not you actually got the maimer, sayin haskala and sayin aveda. The simcha v'tuv levav is essential to the maimer. Let's see. We could connect this with this idea of Yankiv halach l'darkish. Mitzvah Shabbos Pashas Noach. This is a Yaakov halach l'darkei that we have in Mitzvah Shabbos Pashas Noach. In other words, when is the typical Yaakov halach l'darkei? Is either the night of Simchas Torah, the Seis Mitzvah Simchas Torah, or Mitzvah Shabbos Breishis. See how 49. If I'm starting in the middle, Shachidish, Mitzvah Shabbos Pashas Noach, or Mitzvah Shabbos Breishis, Sha'az Yeshnek V'Ha'inin Div Yaakov halach l'darkei b'peil. What's the Yaakov halach l'darkei in Breishis that we're leaving? We're leaving Tishrei, but we didn't fully leave Tishrei yet, because Shabbos Pashas Breishis is never a full Sheishis Yimei HaMaaseh. You always have the last days of Yom Tif in the week of Shabbos Pashas Breishis. So we didn't yet arrive in Sheishis Yimei HaMaaseh. The first week, that discusses this in Noach Nun Beis. The first week that we have a full week b'peil in Aveda in this world, not in the Heiligkeit von Tishrei, is Yaakov halach l'darkei of Shabbos Pashas Noach. Now we finished the week, and this is Nekudas Hamayim. It's the b'peil. It's the b'peil. Sagt Azay. It's the key. So it's the emes of Yaakov halach l'darkei. The first one was we're going to go on our way, but now we're actually on our way. The Hagam Shalach Chedesh Tishrei Heilig l'darkei. How does the Rebbe explain this Yaakov halach l'darkei? Even though after Chedesh Tishrei has to go l'darkei, Gam. In other words, Rebbe saying, don't tell yourself that you must be in trouble, but Gam, it happens since it's a treft. He's no longer only in Shon, they Smedish and Yom Kippur and Ill and Napoleon's March and all the good Zachen, but he's also busy with the bills and with the guy that he has to deal with, and with the nisyenis of should he be honest in his business or not, and his moods and his emotional challenges, all of the problems. Shouldn't get any worse, but it could. So he has to deal over here with all of these things, and it reaches the level of Mayim Rabim, where he stumbles. Mayim Rabim Hanal, the Saparnasa, where he's not the way he is saying Shema Yisrael and Hashem Elokeinu and Havaya Elokim. He's not there. He's now in Tir Saparnasa. He lost his balance, and he lost his conviction. He doesn't feel it in his consciousness. He doesn't feel that conviction that the Eibishter is the true existence of the whole world and nothing more. He's stuck in the Mayim Rabim. What do we call this? He reaches a higher level. We say Yaakov halach l'darkei. He reached the madrega of a mahalach. In other words, you're actually now reaching the high madrega. In Tishrei, you didn't reach the high madrega. After when you came down into this world and are facing what living in this world is all about, now you're v'halach. Now you reached a higher level. Why? Because now you did the bepeil, and now you're that neshama the way it is in atzmos. Now you're there. Before you b'chlal weren't. This knowledge that he's going out to deal with matter of this world, and the bechulu contains in it everything else, where it's not just that it's in Yonah, it's just all of the challenges that a person has. He'd say to Chaliyah that it's only that he should reach higher. In other words, he should reach to his shadish the way Yitaka is in Atzmos. This causes that the halicha, this work in this world, should be b'simcha v'tuv levav, because it's the most exciting, energizing thing to realize that what I'm doing over here in this world, this is what's in Atzmos. My work over here, facing the challenges of this world, and doing my mitzvahs and learning my Torah, is what's in Atzmos itself. And that brings such a joy. Instead of feeling that this is a miserable life over here, if only I could be a pure neshama, the little neshama before it came down into this world, if only I could be this pure neshama, then I would be happy. Over here in this world, how do you expect me to be happy? I'm miserable. I'm a chelik l'kami ma'amamash, and now look at me, I'm stuck in all of this filth. Where's the simcha v'tuv levav? You told me earlier in the Mayim that I won't be defeated. I'm happy. Thank you. and it's going to help me. You told me that I could reach a higher madega. Okay, I could get I could get a little happier. But true joy, it's a miserable experience. It's you're telling me, think, play chess, think a few moves ahead, see what's going on, beneath the surface. Okay, but it's not a true simcha. It's not, because the here and now feels miserable. Over here, David says the here and now is not miserable. It looks to you like it's miserable, but it's not. Before, what we were saying is that it's truly miserable. Narvas, Egets, Moon, Deshadish, you're going to reach higher, you're going to achieve big things, but it's not miserable. Over here, now they're saying it's not miserable at all. It looks to you like it's miserable, but it's Bechlal not. This is what's in the Shadish, in Atmos, Umahos. This is what it is over here, this life in this world, serving the Eibishter as a Yid in this physical world. And that brings about a Simcha Natuv Levav. Like Rashi explains on the words, Vayisa Yaakov Raglov, that Yaakov lifted his legs and he went. This is after the Eibishter promised him that he's going to come back. The Eibishter gave him his assurances that everything is going to be okay. So Rashi explains that when he heard this good sort of so nasu Raglov Vayisa, I forgot the lashon, but basically his feet carried him. He started floating, the way you would say, he was like floating above the ground. He was going with a step. What do you call it? It's with a akapanama, but he was going
a lighter step.
With a lighter step, or there was a whatever it is. It was easy for him to go. It brought about a good energy within him, a good optimistic feeling and state of mind, a happiness and a tuvleva. So by our knowledge of it, just like by Yaakov Avinu's knowledge that the Eibishter promised him that everything is going to be good, so too our knowledge that what we're doing here is actually what's mushash and atzmus, that brings us to simcha and tuvleva. And why is that important? So first of all, this itself, that a yid should be b'simcha v'tuv levav, is a top priority. I mean, what's more important than being b'simcha v'tuv levav? But it's also important for your aveda. And again, this is a concept we learned in Chaisar a little bit more Barucha, that it's payil that your aveda to the Eibishter should be in absolute completeness. In other words, no area of your life, no part of your Aveda is forsaken, no part of your Aveda is half-half. Everything is done as a completely, and it's beyond any limitations that you're serving the Eibishter, not only according to what you think you should and according to your nature, but you're serving the Eibishter as a all-out full force. Why? Because Simcha has in it the quality, the characteristic that it bursts and it breaks through all barriers and all boundaries. And then the Rebbe doesn't stop. Through this, that the person does his Aved in all of the three Kavim, which the Rebbe connects. I don't know this idea. There's it's the idea of the Bnei Noach, which is the idea of Teira Aved Gemul Chasadim. So he does his Aved in all the three branches of Aved that there are. And he does B'simcha Tuv Levav. So now it's done in a complete way. So Nimshach Le Gam B'ches Havaya B'cholam Mitzdarach Le B'Gimel and Yanam D'Banei Chayim Azenet. So he gets the bracha of the Eibishter and everything that he requires and everything that he needs in all three areas of children and life and health and parnasa. B'tachlis Hashem, he also gets it B'tachlis Hashem, so the Eibishter gives it to him in a Eifnovel, B'simcha V'tuv Levav, not in a way that's full of anxiety and pressure, but the Eibishter gives it to him in a beautiful and happy way. Hein beruchnis ve'hein begashmius. Sai b'nechayim zayna beruchnis and sai b'nechayim zayna begashmius, and then beruchnis ubegashmius gam yochad. And also in a way with the beruchnis and the gashmius are combined together, which this is the idea already of Gilia Atzmus, that's mechaber between the ruchnis and the gashmius, as explained in other mamorim. Das ist der Mayim. Yeah. Mashiach dike Mayim.